What's up, gang? Ladies, gents, and Saturday night main events. Yes, tomorrow, Saturday night's main event, WWE. Really excited for it. We're going to preview that. We're going to talk a couple other news tidbits. One which I happen to break, but we'll talk about some other stuff too. I'm Dominic D'Angelo. This is Ad Free Shows. We are live today, a little later. Thanks, everybody, for your patience and waiting out if you're tuning in live right now. I had a doctor's appointment earlier today, so I had to readjust and shift up the schedule. And so here I am, 2:15 in the afternoon, looking good for the weekend, revved up for the weekend. Should be nice and cold up here in Pittsburgh. Hopefully it's warm where you guys are. Shout out to some folks. Travis Wardlow. We won't tell Robert how late this is. Oh, it's late. It is late. Surprise R&R at 1:15 Central Standard Time. Let's go. Oh, you know it. R&R on my drive home. Sweet. Devin Dowling. Dom, get Blitz messed up my order again. What? The manager called me and said he's putting 3 free things there for me to try because of the inconvenience. Yeah, Mickey's great. Mickey Ray Sinatra and Courtney. They definitely right the ship when it comes to all that stuff. Great customer service there with Get Blitz. You guys can go to get-blitz.com, use promo code RVD, and you get 15% off of your TC Get Lit Aid. THC Get Lit Aid. It's really, really good stuff. I got the blue raspberry in my cabinet right now. So Devin Dallon's pumped for that. It's lunchtime in Cali. All right. Man, I'm hungry. I haven't really eaten yet today, but we're going to eat a little bit of pro wrestling news today, covering a few bases. I'll lead off right now. Broke a little news this morning. There was a report from PW Insider, I believe yesterday, that announced that there was to be some certain legends attending Saturday night's main event. I won't spoil all of them. If you don't want to hear who this particular legend was scheduled to be coming up, I will give you 10 seconds right now to exit and then come back in a little bit. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, that's an S, 4, like 4 horsemen, 3, 2, 1. All right. So scheduled to appear were certain legends. One legend who will not be in attendance that was reported, he was on tap to join, was Ted DiBiase. He is unable to attend, so he will not be at Saturday night's main event, despite reports that you may have seen. So just be on the lookout for that. But should still very much be a very, very exciting show, and really looking forward to covering it and previewing it today too. So how about that? But let's get the card. I got to pull this card up, and things will be shifting around a little bit too, because we still have SmackDown tonight. So I guess I should maybe start with that, right? The SmackDown preview first and foremost to lead in to Saturday night's main event. See when I can pull this baby up here. Well, this is courtesy of Jason Powell of ProWrestling.net. Big fan of Jason Powell's work. Have followed him for 10 years, and he's always the consummate pro. So shout out to him. The following and matches and events are advertised for tonight's SmackDown. So Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens have a final word before Saturday night's main event. Bayley versus Chelsea Green in a women's United States title tournament semifinal match. How about that? And then we also have the other one, Tiffany Stratton versus Michin in a women's U.S. title tournament semifinal match. Boy, what an interesting way this is going to unfold. You can see this really happening anyway. Will they give Chelsea Green the opportunity to finally capture a title in WWE and kind of get her long away to just do when it comes to stuff like that? She puts in a lot of effort, created a great persona for herself on there, and is really over. But Bayley is an established talent. Do you want a veteran like her to be the first to ring in this new championship and really set a tone for what that championship will be moving forward? You can make an argument for either of those. As far as Tiffany Stratton and Michin go, obviously Tiffany's such a huge star. Michin's a great worker, and just hasn't really found her big groove when it comes to who she is in WWE and stuff like that. But she's very highly utilized, and but I like to see her in this platform. At this juncture, even in this semifinals match, she's been elevated just by that simple fact alone. So even if she loses tonight and Tiffany Stratton moves on for this match coming up at Saturday night's main event, still good stuff to do. And then Carmelo Hayes will be taking on a mystery opponent. So how about that? That's kind of cool. Who will be the mystery opponent? Who will be on tap for Carmelo? Could we see a throwback name show up? Little teaser for Saturday night's main event. Nostalgic name or something. Be interesting. Tony Gaunt says, I think it's Chelsea's time. How many more dues does she have to pay? I think that's a fair thing to think about too. You don't want to give someone a gold watch just for the sake of giving them a gold watch. You want some purpose and meaning behind it. But you could really have some fun with Chelsea as the United States champion. She's Canadian, so there's a lot of fun you can do differently with that. She can really, really lean into pushing back and being this obnoxious kind of chicken-esque champion, if you would like, and always escaping the chase, so to speak. So, I think there's a good argument for that. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I love what they're doing with Kevin Owens and the build to Cody Rhodes here for this show tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do tonight. I think Cody and Kevin have a lot of good chemistry together, and they complement one another really well. Kevin is really embracing that this heelish identity he's so well known for when he's portrayed that way. So really good stuff. I like it a lot. Ron Ward said, damn it, Dom, you actually didn't do anything. I just didn't want you to go too long without one of those. What didn't I do? You didn't do anything. I just didn't want you to go too long without one of those. Explain, Ron Ward. I wonder what I did. Did I do something? I'm confused now. The Rock gave the Nation Domination goal watches for no reason, then gave Farouk a framed photo of himself, which is great. Great stuff. That's great heel stuff. Man, I love that. I love The Rock. He gets a bad rap for whatever movie stuff, anything to that regard, but come on. Wrestling star right there, first and foremost. It's great when he's back in the mix. Maybe will we see him tomorrow? I don't know. Let's preview this SmackDown. Well, no, we just previewed SmackDown. Let's preview Saturday night's main event. We have, like I said, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Is there a possibility that Kevin Owens could become your new WWE Undisputed Champion? Is there a story to tell for that, for WrestleMania? Would that really shake things up? Sure would. Magnum TA made the argument on our show earlier this week that WWE does need like a shaking up, something to really shock the system as they get into WrestleMania season here. That would certainly do it. Would fans like it? I think you could feasibly do it, and then get the title back on Cody, and maybe with Kevin Owens holding that championship, you could kind of pivot away from all the talk about, hey, where's Roman Reigns coming into play with this, or why is he not getting a title shot? Is there money finally for Roman Reigns versus The Rock? And would Cody and Kevin, with Cody chasing, supplement that? Okay. Would that hurt Cody to lose? My cat is going nuts right now. Would that hurt Cody to lose the championship and then rush to get it back? Would it feel not as impactful if he were to hold on to the title and then challenge somebody like The Rock? Is that a bigger payoff? Do we even know The Rock's going to be there? We don't. But I'm going with the assumption, even though some reports say otherwise. And, maybe it is. Maybe those reports are confirmed and accurate. But look, The Rock can always pivot at any point and be like, yeah, I'm going to be at WrestleMania. What the heck? So I think, and you could have Cody win it back at the Rumble, Devin says. Is that too short though, for a reign for Kevin? I could think so. I could think it is. Could you have Cody win it? And it's tough to do it this late in the game. WWE teased that they're bringing back the big gold eagle for tomorrow, which will be awesome. So would it be crazy for Kevin to take that? Would it be what would be crazy? What would be crazy is maybe Cody wins the match. Kevin attacks him afterwards, takes that big gold eagle and destroys it. He's not the champ, but man, he still keeps the heat. That might be something cool to do. I would not be against that, right? I think that would be a cool story to tell. Just damaging that belt that everybody loves. I would like it. I'll make it happen. I love that belt, but destroy it, Kevin. Do it. Let's see what else we got on the card for this. We also have Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. I think obviously, they're really building towards Liv versus Rhea Ripley. So I could not imagine Liv losing this match. So Liv, I think, will beat Io Sky probably most likely by nefarious means, as it should happen. I think you do got to protect Io in this situation because she is a star and you want to keep her relevant. So I would not have her lose clean to Liv, which I couldn't imagine happen. Liv's calling card is cheating, so I think that's the way to do it with that one. When it comes to my prediction for the United States Championship, Women's United States Championship, boy, that's a tough one. I might go against the grain a little bit and say it's going to be Bayley and Tiffany in the finals. And then Tiffany wins. She's your inaugural champion. And that heats her up. She's still got the briefcase. She's got the United States Championship. And she's vying for more. I think that's my wild prediction. And, you could obviously, we just made the argument for Chelsea Green winning that. But that's what I'm going to go with is Tiffany will be your inaugural WWE United States Champion, Women's Champion against Bayley. So there you go. I got that one. That's the one I'm thinking. We'll have Gunther defending his WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Again, this is could be an opportunity to shake things up. But I don't think so. I think there's a reason there's a triple threat going on here. So, you can have an out when it comes to Gunther winning and protecting people involved, whether that be Finn or whether that be Damian. There's some stuff you can do with this triple threat match. So I think Gunther will retain, and I think that's the right thing to do. I think, and maybe too, I love how people are really getting behind Gunther, but I think he's got to do something despicable again to get fans to not like him. I think there's more to him being a heel than there is being a babyface. It's great to see him in this kind of almost trial babyface run, is what it feels like. But there's more mileage, I think, right now for him being a heel than anything else. He's very much paralleling his Intercontinental Championship run with this world title run. And I think you want to continue that thing where he maybe doubted himself at a certain point, was pretty respectable, and can always certainly have a realm of respect to his persona. But ultimately, I would like to see him be like this mean, arrogant heel still. Yeah, Jeroy J says shaking up, it really isn't their thing. No, maybe I would have been more aligned with that if it wasn't for this past week of what they did on programming. They pulled a swerve of, first off, of DIY turning heel, smaller level than what a main event thing would be, but then you had this whole big New Day swerve. Nobody predicted what that was going to be like. We predicted that Woods was going to turn heel, perhaps. We predicted that maybe they would stay together, perhaps, Kofi and Woods. But on the babyface side of things, nobody ever predicted that Kofi and Xavier Woods were going to align as heels against Big E. That was not on anybody's bingo card across the board. So I would say that's kind of shaking things up a little bit. on a smaller level. But yeah, I don't know. It's WWE can tend to shake things up, and maybe that's by the fans' hand. Last year was by the fans' hand when it came to Cody Rhodes and them moving away from The Rock. So they shook it up. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited. I'm just really excited for the presentation of it all. Jesse Ventura being back in the fold, and what are they going to do with him? Is he going to be on the whole show? That's what I'm excited about figuring out. Seeing if he'll be calling all the matches, and will he just be doing interviews? Will he be just on the main events, the primary matches? I want to see him go the whole damn way. I think it would be great to see Jesse back in the mix like that and see what he can do, even if he misses some spots or whatever it may be. But Jesse's a pro, and he knows how to get the product over, get himself over, make it feel like a big deal, which it is. So it'll be neat. Is Saturday night's main event bigger than what we've perceived it out to be? Even if you think about that, so he is on commentary. Great. I wonder if he's on there full time though. Is he like full time for the show, the whole production, or will he be in like almost like a JR on AEW role where he just calls a couple of the matches and then he's not there right then for the whole thing? I'm curious to hear about that. But what I want to touch upon is is this a bigger show than what we're making it out to be? It's on NBC. They still have a deal with NBC. This is Saturday night. You're going to have a bigger audience. You're going to be introducing new people to your product. I know WWE feels like it's a household name, basically is, but do people watch it? Not as much as they used to still. So this is a really, really big opportunity for WWE. You think of all the facets that are coming into play. You have the nostalgia kicking in for us, for the Gen X's and then the millennials and, what have you. But then you have a whole huge young fan base that you could be introducing new things to if they're allowed to stay up on Saturday night. And so, this is going to be cool. I'm excited. Be neat to see how they present it all and who does show up, what does happen. Somebody else I was talking about too. Oh, Kevin yesterday on the show. Kevin Kellum joined me yesterday on the show, and he thinks that WWE has something big up their sleeve for this tonight. So we'll see. But I like it. I'm all for it. We also have too on tap Drew McIntyre taking on Sami Zayn. This is just the start of things, I think. So I'm gonna say Drew wins and cheats to win. And then you continue this feud with him and Sami Zayn, which I'm intrigued by. I think there's some stuff to this. I've said this the past 2 days, but if you haven't tuned in, I did say that initially I was like, it feels like, from the feud that Drew had with Punk, that it's I don't want to say a step down because I think Sami's doing great work right now. But it's hard to follow up with something like that that's arguably the feud of the year. And so Drew going up against someone like Sami instead of being like, say, you would think maybe, hey, you would put him in the world title picture, but does he fit in there right now? And so him going up against Sami Zayn was initially like, oh, okay, that feels a little different. But I'm all for it because I think these two are capable of creating something very, very special. And maybe, just maybe, Drew kind of helped with that. Drew spoke some truth on Busted Open Radio on their holiday special. And wow, if you haven't seen that, go out of your way to watch it because Drew said some, wow. You want to talk about blurring lines when it comes to reality and what we see in the professional wrestling ring. Drew McIntyre did it big time. He basically talked about the real hardships of being a pro wrestler and reaching for that brass ring. The craziness of it all is that that like what he said hit home. Like hit home with, I'm sure, a lot of wrestlers that, go out of their way and make the effort to become the star. So I'm reading this from SCScoops.com. And so, yeah, this was the Busted Open Holiday Party live stream. McIntyre said that he realized he missed some crucial moments with his family as he was focusing on his wrestling career. However, he made it clear he is taking everything back, he said. He said, I gave and I gave and I gave. But as far as wrestling on TV is concerned, I'm going to take and take and take. And then he added, the lack of contact and the look in my family's face, realizing everything that I've missed, that's why I'm just going to take from now on. And so Drew also added, too, though, how, like, his mom passed away, his aunt had passed away, and he was back home in Scotland with his family. And he mentioned how few wrestlers or talent reached out and checked in on him. And it just made him feel about like people on the road. When you're a wrestler, you always say, oh, we're family and certain things like that. Well, Drew was like, no, that's just a facade, basically, where you're just lying to yourself about your actual family. And like Drew said, like how much it hit him. And, it left an impact on him and made him realize that maybe all this stuff he was doing to become the star that he was it really worth it? Was it what all that effort and time away and stuff did? And there's an argument that it's not. And that could even be for your biggest stars ever, like a Rock or a Stone Cold. Like you could fact how much of that has you think across the board how lives of wrestlers were like that and are like that, and especially back when Drew was still trying to earn a name and reestablish himself and everything like that, where it's just like you're chasing this thing that doesn't really give back to you and that you're not guaranteed to give back to you. Pro wrestling is such a different element when it comes to sport because it's predetermined, and the factor is not just based off of your talent or your ability or your charisma, even though that's all comes into play when it comes to being a pro wrestler. Somebody is controlling and pulling the strings. Whereas if you're in a pro athlete standpoint of, the NFL or name your major sport, it really boils down to talent. And now sometimes that can break away when that person maybe is too wild to handle or too irresponsible to handle their own fame and abilities, and that can kind of wash out. But still, that takes a while for that to wash you out of pro sports. If you're talented and you have the ability to deliver on the field, on the court, on the diamond, whatever it may be, then you will get a spot. You will be the starter. You could be a star. Still takes a lot of effort, still takes a lot of time away from the family. But to what Drew was saying, you're just continuing, and he remembers chasing that paycheck and everything like that. Well, basically, he's like, I don't give an F about the internet, what the internet has to say, and they threw the mic down and walked off. And then he also made a tweet too that said the F word and says I don't give a F about anybody, or can't remember what he said here. I wonder if I can pull that up real quick. But man, I mean, just walking that line of like reality, because there's truth into that, all that. Absolutely there is. And with Drew, it's more than, because I've heard him say about stuff about his family before when it came to this beforehand too. And like, this has been something that has bugged him for a while. So him being able to incorporate that, whether it's like furthering his persona on television, or he's just really speaking a lot of truth. Yeah. So he said, F you for making me do this. So that's the thing too. And he does a great job. It's hard, like in today's day and age, it's very hard to blur the lines and make things feel legitimate. And, so in a lot of turns, and what makes a lot of feuds and stories great, even with Drew's one with CM Punk, there felt like a lot of reality in some of this stuff. And this is certainly a reality for Drew, is what he feels about being away from his family, and things like that. So great stuff. I'm a huge fan of Drew, and yeah, I like his perspective outside of the ring as well. I think there's a lot of, like I just said, reality to what he's saying, and I think it really hits home with people in the industry and outside. He also mentioned too that it was not back when he first started. The marks weren't in the locker room. You know, if you've been backstage, like, it's probably speaking to Drew's point, right? Because I've been backstage at some shows too, and yeah, and he could be referring to it's warranted that he could refer to me like that, because I don't wrestle. I don't do anything to that effect. Like, sure, I've tried my best to separate myself. I separate the fan aspect of it, and I utilize what I learned from college and journalism and the ethics of all of that. I'm able to delineate that, but still, I'm not a wrestler. Like, do I really deserve to be back there? Does a lot of people? No, I would say a lot of people don't. And Rob Van Dam on our show, which we're going live tonight. I know we said yesterday, but we switched it to tonight, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to rvdtv.com and tune in live to me and RVD. We'll be talking about Drew on there for sure. This is going to be a topic Rob and I are definitely going to cover tonight. So if you want to hear more about it and get Rob's perspective on what he thinks about Drew's thoughts, he will give them to you tonight. So really excited to do that. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Devin just saw your what time? That's what it is. 9 p.m. Eastern, 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. We usually go a little bit later, but we have a window there. So we'll be starting around that time. So get warmed up and tune into RVD tonight to hear about that. But like what Drew had to say, it is a sad aspect of the business, is what he said too. You know, even like the little bit that I travel for wrestling, traveling drains you. Traveling just kills you, and like it does beat you down. And wrestlers you get used to it if you're constantly doing it. But man, that's the worst thing about the whole thing, is doing all that and making the travel and trying to make things work. And again, you're not guaranteed anything. I mean, that's life in general, but it's really, there's another layer of not being guaranteed anything in pro wrestling in comparison to professional sports. So Drew is all spot on with this stuff. It's sad, but this is compelling stuff too. And the fact that it got out there like the way it did, in the fashion that it did, speaks to how Drew's so good at what he does, and he gets it. Both from an on-air standpoint and from who he is as a person. So, great stuff. I'm sure this will be talked about. This is like the new kind of pipe bomb stuff, right? And like adding just completely leaning into the realism and the truth of it all is what it is. So, yeah, excited to talk about that with Rob tonight. Is all that stuff. Oh yeah. Devin Dallin says, dude, my suggested next video is Triple H on Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart's podcast. Two worlds I didn't think about clash. Yeah, I actually wrote a little article about that. Triple H was on The Roommates. That's the name of the show, with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart of the New York Knicks. And they get into some fun stuff. And Triple H talks about what NBA players actually would fit in the WWE. So tune into that show and check it out. All right, I will close it out with this. There are reports that Tessa Blanchard is reportedly TNA bound, and She is a former TNA World Champion, unprecedented in the business, a female holding the male World Championship, but she's the only one to do it. And so the reports are, let's take a look here. This is from my old stomping grounds at WrestleZone. Shout out to Colin Tessier. I always call him the Prodigy. He's all over the grid. He's at WrestleZone. He's at Fightful. So he's one of the heavy hitting writers out there, the pro wrestling journalists out there. So shout out to Colin. CMLL has vacated the Women's World Tag Team Championship due to Tessa Blanchard's departure. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that it was believed that Tessa was heading back to TNA in the near future. The Wrestling Observer also reported the news. Per Sapp, the news of Blanchard's return has been kept away from the entire roster and even many of the staff. This was said to be done intentionally due to fear of backlash. The report also notes that the plan has been in motion for at least the last 2 weeks. Per Sapp, Blanchard is set to be involved by January. Hey, I'm all for having people get second chances. And, I don't think that what is all that is said online and the rhetoric that has gotten Tessa was one of these talents who got the hammer slammed down on them during COVID, during the big thing of the Me Too. What was the name of it for wrestling? Was there a different thing? Was it Me Too? Me Too was the big one, right? That was the Harvey Weinstein one. I can't remember. I think there was another hashtag or something that we used during COVID. But speaking out, Jeroy J, thank you. Speaking out. So I think a lot of what has been said about Tessa is really stuff that's been propagated on social media and blown up. I can only judge people by how I've interacted with them and everything like that. And anytime I've interacted with Tessa, she's been great. She's been nice. She's been friendly. People are not without making their mistakes and having their slip ups and things like that. But from what I've heard when it came to her situation with La Rosa Negra, whom I'm a big fan of, I love La Rosa Negra, all has been forgiven in that regard. You will likely see, and you probably have already seen, a lot of talk of Tessa, after this report came out of, wow, the questioning of all this stuff going on. So the fact is she's a talent, and she has, I always think people should get a second chance, and how that happens here when it comes to the layout and the landscape of the political side of things when it comes to pro wrestling. That's not always up to snuff either. We're only hearing the social media side of it, what we see on social media, what we see from that stuff. I'm a big fan of them. I'm going to go see Glengarry Glen Ross coming up here in March. Bill Burr, Bob Odenkirk, Michael McKean, Kieran Culkin, all on that show. That is all about cutthroat, everybody for themselves, fighting for their spot, getting the leads. That's what that's about. And Glengarry Glen Ross. And that is no different in professional wrestling. And like what Drew McIntyre just said about friends in the business, about who's family and who's really family and who is not, that applies across the board with pro wrestling here. And so if you think what you hear is necessarily what's completely accurate, I would not just go by that. That's the mantra I learned about don't start to judge people. Don't judge people. How does it go? I don't judge people. I judge people based off how I interact with them. And who said that? Who did I learn that from? Like, who did really stuck that in my brain? Conrad Thompson said that. And I always keep that in mind now when I interact with people. That's how I'm going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you based on what I read or what I hear or what anything else really goes on. If I meet you and you seem like a good person to me, you seem like I think I'm a pretty good judge of character when it comes to things like that. I can make that assessment on my own. And so I'm all for Tessa Blanchard getting the shot in TNA again. And I mean, just don't necessarily subscribe to everything that you might be reading or seeing or hearing. And that's across the board, not just with Tessa, but with everything. And that's just the way to kind of live life is like, yeah, there's plenty of people who I think don't necessarily shouldn't get sometimes some second chances. But I'm a firm believer in second chances. I think there's some cases where they shouldn't really, but still people do. And think about, so this is the one I always take exception with. And even if I were to really take myself and my own thoughts out of how I feel about this person, I would still think like, yeah, you know what? I mean, they had the right to get a second chance, I guess. And that's Michael Vick. I never, after he did that with the dogs and he went to jail, I was like, he should not be back in the NFL. He should be done. He should be out of there. And like, I still kind of feel that way in certain ways. But if I was to really, really take myself out of it, separate myself from how I feel about and just envisioning what he did to those poor animals and what he did in the grand scheme of it all. And he went to jail. He did do his time. He still had the capability to play in the NFL. The NFL is also a cutthroat business. Back to what I said about being talented and letting that talent speak for you solely. This Michael Vick was a good case of that because he still had the ability to play in the NFL and play well. And he did. So would I have hired him on my team? No. And when the Jets put him on the team, I can't remember what year that was, if it was 2014. I didn't follow the Jets for that year. I was just like, no, I'm not going to do it. I just, nope. But so, yeah, I think that's my thoughts on that. And, all my interactions with Tessa have been great. All my interactions with La Rosa Negra have been awesome. She's awesome. They're both awesome, I think. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. If that indeed happens with TNA and stuff like that. So there you go, everybody. That'll do it for this week. Well, if you have questions real quick, get them on in. I'll stick around just for a little bit because guess what? I got to do a little bit of advertising. Coming up. Listen, after I went to the doctor today, I went to the gym. But before I did any of that, I was sure to put on Mando. I'm a huge fan of Mando. Mando is our sponsor this week. And, it's the holiday season and you want to make sure that you're smelling good wherever you go, whether that's a party, whether that's a family occasion and you're spreading some Yuletide cheer, maybe drinking a little eggnog or you pick your libation of choice. But Mando will help you feeling good, feeling confident. I love the fact that Mando has several scents to choose from bourbon leather to pro sport. But my number one is Mount Fuji. It's a low key scent. It's not overpowering. It's not like an Axe body spray where you're like a bro at the club. You feel like a dude, man, just like a legit salt of the earth kind of guy wearing Mando. It's created by a doctor who firsthand saw how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. It's clinically proven to control body odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle, odor level was a 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average grundle odor is a 0 out of 10. So, Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers, and that's what they sent me too. So it comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes. If you're able to, I recommend that you do the deodorant wipes and you do the bar soap. I really like the bar soap, but it's all free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code RUMOR at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right. Anybody have questions? Triple E's got a good question. Couple good questions. Favorite type of play to be in or see? You ever do improv? Listening to Hello from Magic Tavern podcast. It's improv comedy. Ooh, that sounds interesting. I did improv once for a theater class. It's tough to do. Improv, I think, is tougher than theater, in my opinion, because you got to just do it on the fly. I'd be intrigued to try it out again. I went and saw an improv show with one of my buddies here in Pittsburgh. They have a couple improv groups around in the area, and it's fun. It's a fun thing to really check out. Some people are really good at it, and they do a good job. You do get the wild aspect of it, like kind of unraveling and getting weird, and that can happen. But improv is an intriguing thing to dabble into. As far as favorite type of play to be in or see, man, that's tough. So I think what I would say would probably be like what I like the things I like everything about Glengarry Glen Ross is I like plays that have good characters, funny yet somewhat serious. The dialogue is a really big thing for me. And David Mamet, that playwright who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross, he wrote American Buffalo. I feel like I'm missing a really big one. What's the really big one? I was in Sexual Perversity in Chicago in college, and I played an asshole big time. Like it was my favorite role I think I've ever done. And so those are David Mamet plays are my favorite type to be in. Look him up if you're not familiar. He's also written some screenplays like Wag the Dog, and there's another thing he wrote that's pretty notable as well in the film industry. But he very, very amazing playwright, one of the best to ever do it. So Martin McDonagh is another guy, Irish playwright. Man, you get some really fun, dark characters, dark comedy. He's really, really great at the dark humor. I recommend checking out the Beauty Queen of Lenan plays. Those are great. So that's my favorite type to be in or see. I don't mind doing musicals. I haven't done a musical in forever, like 17 years or something like that. I was in Big River in college. That's the Huckleberry Finn play. I played the sheriff in that show, but I can't remember. But I was Seymour Krelborn in high school for Little Shop of Horrors. It's Pontius Pilate and Jesus Christ Superstar. Guys and Dolls. I like a lot of musicals. So Into the Woods, one of my favorite all-time musicals. Probably is my favorite all-time musical, actually. Into the Woods. So I like that kind of stuff. And Sondheim's probably my favorite musical playwright, if you will. Andrew Lloyd Webber's good too. Good questions. Thanks for those ones. I always like the outside the wrestling stuff, and I appreciate you asking about the cat thing yesterday with the declawing stuff. I don't like cats getting declawed, and so good on asking that. When's the next Fonzie? Next week. Fonzie and I texted. We're firing it back up next week, so be on the lookout for that. Ron Ward, yes. Well, I believe you'll be getting one. Robert has been away, so he has not been able to record. So him and Scott have yet to record. I would imagine probably be after Saturday night's main event. So yeah, I'm sure you'll get a late episode here this week. So just be on the lookout there. Tony Gong makes a great point. Improv is like karaoke, or it's either really good or really bad. Yeah, right. And I like karaoke too. You get a couple of me, I'll sing some Matchbox 20 or some Third Eye Blind, some Billy Idol. I'll do a little bit of that. Oh, that's cool. Nice. Always wanted to see Pee Wee Herman's show he did on Broadway, and they did a DVD release years ago. Wow, did not know that. Rest in peace, Paul Rubin. Did you see the two that they have a documentary coming out of him? I can't remember what it's on, but it's about Pee Wee and it's about Paul Rubens. So good stuff. Listen, Devin, I've tried to get Marcus on here to be a guest. After his actions this past week, he is barely returning any of my text messages or phone calls. So I've had him on here before a couple times. And we used to do a show together back in the WrestleZone days, two dynamite dudes. Well, he's not so dynamite anymore. Yeah, me and him are going to have a conversation. Big time. So, all right, guys, that will do it for me. Wrestling Old Head says, at work right now, want to wish you, Mr. Dom, and everyone in the chat a happy Friday and hope you all have a great weekend. Likewise, Wrestling Old Head. Great stuff. Always appreciate the input you give on here, too. Just like I do with everybody on here, too. Tony Gong, Triple E, Devin, Alt Jake when he's here. Jeroy J, Dre Owens, Ron Ward, Travis, Johnny Disco, who's usually here, is not here today. Lou tuning in. So I appreciate everybody going out of their way here again today at 2:15 on a later time to tune in. Yes, RVD is for sure tonight. Tune in 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rob and I will be going live on rvdtv.com and Rob Van Dam's YouTube channel. So if you want to be sure to get the help out with super chats, you can get some exclusive RVD merch at 1tsport.com. There's the old school ECW RVD shirt you can get there. Very, very cool. You can get it in a t-shirt form. You can get it in tank. You can get it in a crew neck. The crew necks are really nice. And then you can get a tassel hat, a new beanie that has that logo on there. So go to 1tsport.com. And then I believe it's /collections/RVD. Might be Rob Van Dam, but I think it's RVD. But either way, go to 1tsport.com. You can check out all the guys and gals that we have on there. We have Medusa. We have Magnum TA. We have Arn. We're the exclusive store to the Four Horsemen merchandise. Anything with Four Horsemen on it is only available at 1tsport.com. So be sure to check it out. And yes, but I appreciate everybody chiming in today. And we'll pick this back up next week with Robert coming back in the house. So that'll do it. And hey, be sure too, if you're in the Boca Raton, Florida area, check it out. Tomorrow will be the big event with Robert Karpolis having MJF taking on QT Marshall. And if you bring a toy or $20 to donate to Smushy Squishies, his daughter's charity, to help out, you can get a meet and greet with QT Marshall himself. Really finding his stride here in pro wrestling, so good for him. And yeah, so if you're in that area, check it out. Take a look. Be sure to Google Boca Raton Championship Wrestling and see all the pertinence when it comes to what you need to do, where that's at, and where it's taking place at. So shout out to them, and shout out to all you guys. Appreciate you tuning in today. I will see you next Monday, this coming Monday here on Rumor and Innuendo. Best of luck in all of your future endeavors, and let's get ready to party because it's another Saturday night, and I ain't got nobody.
Hey Deep South fans, it's your favorite 6-foot bombshell Gemma Jules, and I am here to tell you about something special.